we are ready to go. A very good morning, everyone. This is your podcast host, I was going to say the Spirit Channel, the Zenith, and this is another episode of the Spirit Channel. Apologies because my lovely guest today, Jirbie, is based in the Philippines, and because of the time difference, I've had to get up really early to do one of these podcasts. Normally, you join me at about 4, 5, 6 p.m. because most of our guests are based in the US, but Jirbie has been a long time guest, a long outstanding guest who I've wanted to get on. So I've made every effort to get up and try and accommodate her, even though I'm sure you can see the bags under my eyes. I could use some of your bars of soap and some of your natural products right now, Jirbie. But anyway, very, very warm welcome to the show. Jirbie, go, how are you?
Hello, Xenia. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. And how is the weather in the Philippines at the minute at 4:20 p.m.?
Yeah, it is. And it's very, very cloudy lately, which is good because I don't like it when it's very, very hot.
Well, normally we're the opposite here in Ireland and the UK. We don't get a lot of sunshine, so any kind of
Oh,
sunshine that we get, we tend to flock to the beaches and tend to really expose ourselves to that quite dangerously. But it's just our kind of weather here. But anyway, yes. So at best I can't get the words out. I'd better give you a bit of an introduction then. So Jirbie, in case anyone hasn't read, is a certified aromatherapist and essential oils practitioner. She also conducts classes on candle making, shampoo bars, natural perfume, and organic body care. And before this, she worked in the corporate world for about 8 years advertising before she became a certified aromatherapist in 2018. She's held workshops, classes, lectures, including educationals, and she's also a podcast host. She has, I think she's received qualifications from the institutions of Saint, what's that? How I can't pronounce that. Benelity, Xavier.
oh,
It sounds like this Xavier School of Gifted Children from the X-Men.
quite true. Xavier School is a high school here in the Philippines, and the other one is Saint College of Saint Benilde. So it's a
Saint Denis.
university.
Okay,
Hmm.
that's the word I couldn't get pronounced. I should have asked you that beforehand. And I know you've also done consulting work for international beauty brands. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce them. You can pronounce them if you'd like to, but I'm not, in case I mangle your language.
It's okay. So I've handled multiple beauty brands, collaborated with them. I also do consulting with a lot of local beauty brands here in the Philippines and essential oil brands.
Okay, so give us a little bit about your background, Jeremy. Obviously, I've explained just a little bit about what you do and your qualifications and what you've done before that. But what made someone um, who has such a diverse range of background experience in making jewelry and stuff like that to get into aromatherapy and essential oils? What was your motivation for getting into that? And obviously, as you say, you're one of the pioneers of aromatherapy in the Philippines. You're actually quite famous now in the Philippines for the work that you do, so much so that you're now teaching what you have learned to other people. So, what makes someone, I don't mean this, what makes someone from the Philippines, but especially when there's nothing there that she can kind of fall back on or look to other people, what inspires someone like yourself to say, I want to learn aromatherapy and about essential oils?
Okay, so it all started in 2017. I was rescuing animals. I'm an animal rescuer here as well. So I started rescuing strays in 2014. And when they started to become many, they're all fixed, by the way. They're all neutered and spayed. But once they reached, I think, more than 10, it triggered my asthma. So I started getting allergic reactions, sensitivities, and asthma that I never thought I had. So I knew right then if I go to the doctor would just tell me to get rid of my cats, and I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't want that. So I tried to look for other ways that could manage my allergies. For a time there in 2014, I was very, very dependent on OTC drugs. I was very dependent on loratadine, cetirizine, all of those antihistamines. And I knew that was not really good for our health, for our liver and kidney, right? So I tried to search for natural ways to manage my allergic rhinitis, and I found out about essential oils. I even clearly remember the first three oils that I purchased. It was peppermint, lavender, and lemon, and I ordered it from the US because in 2014, in 2017, there weren't any essential oil brands in the Philippines. There was none. It was so hard to get hold of any pure essential oils here. So I purchased it from abroad, shipped it over. It was so expensive because of the shipping and tax, but I really wanted to try it. It's for my health. And when I used it, in seconds of diffusing peppermint, lemon, and lavender, I felt the relief from my lungs. And I was so amazed. I was so baffled. How did this happen? How's that possible? So, since
Mm.
then, it led me into that rabbit hole of learning more about aromatherapy and essential oils.
Okay, very interesting. And so from then on, it was just this interest in developing your knowledge in essential oils. Did you at the time kind of know, well, this is something that I want to make a career out of, or is it just something that is going to be a hobby for me? Something that I just want to do for myself, or did your interest for going, I want to make a career out of this, I want to learn all about this and maybe do this, grow out of that, or did you know immediately, look, I want to make a career out of this?
I think at that time in 2014, I didn't really think that I would be a certified aromatherapist and like build a career out of it. I feel that like everything that has been happening, even all the things that all the designations and titles that I have right now, everything just organically happened. Um, the reason that prompted me to formally take the certification and become a certified aromatherapist is that I think in I've had my YouTube channel since 2016, I think. So I've been
Wow.
doing a lot of videos, and as I was sharing with you, I've been making a lot of content, just my daily, like the things that I do on a daily. There's not really like a specific theme on my YouTube channel, right? So I started, since I was into essential oils during that time, I started making content about essential oils. And it was like a natural thing for me to, take video of whatever that interests me at that time. So I was talking about essential oils, and people started, discovering those videos, and they were really enjoying it. So some of them were sending me comments and asking me questions about essential oils. And I remember, I think that was in 2016, 17. I felt that, oh, okay, so these people are looking at me as some
Yeah.
sort of an authority to speak about oils. And that's the main reason why it prompted me to study formally, because I felt that I had that responsibility to at least share like information that's credible. I didn't want to be googling off information and then telling it to them. I wanted to at least be credible and be responsible in sharing all of those information about essential oils. So in 2018, I remember it was summer here in the Philippines, I decided to enroll and take my level 1 certification from a beautiful aromatherapy school in the United States. So there, it started my aromatherapist journey. And 10 months down the road, I was able to finish my certification. During those 10 months, I have been collaborating with local brands because I was one of the pioneers here in the Philippines. I remember when I first enrolled with the school, I had to ship all my school supplies, all my essential oils and everything from the US because again there was
Wow.
nothing, no one supplying here. So it was so much more expensive then. Luckily now, 2022, for 3 to 4 years down the road, the students who are taking their certification now in the Philippines would have a much better, much more affordable and accessible experience because
Yeah.
there's so much more essential oil brands now, and of course I'm here to guide them now. So yeah, it's a lot different experience, but all
Yeah.
fun, not no regrets at all.
Yeah. It must have been quite expensive for you to do back then, I guess, trying to make a bit of a business, trying to start a bit of a business, and then because of, I would imagine, the import charges to ship from America, I don't really know, but I'm just imagining, then you would have had to maybe pass that cost on to anyone who was interested in. So was there ever any doubt in your mind that this is not going to work? Nobody's going to buy these because the prices that I have to put on these are maybe too expensive for the ordinary Filipino. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
I feel that I'm too generous. I don't really do passing on the cost. When I started learning, when I started, when I decided I wanted to be certified, I my mindset was okay. I'm investing on myself. So I wasn't really thinking of, okay, I'm gonna be like a natural skincare mogul. I'm not really thinking about that. I was just in my mind, I was just telling myself, okay, I just want to get credible information and be able to be responsible to share credible information. All the opportunities, like all of these brands who's been like reaching out to me and would want to work with me, I felt that I'd always feel very, very grateful. I feel that I if I put so much gratitude in my practice, I feel that there are more opportunities that will come. So that's how I've always run my business, and like anything, um some of my friends tell me I give so much away for free. I'm always so generous. But I feel like, there's someone who has to do it, right? Someone has to initiate, someone has to spread the word about it, because if there's none, how can you grow like the local aromatherapy industry here? Right now, I'm still involved in a lot of volunteer work. In the past 2 years, especially during the pandemic, I have been helping a lot of farmers, local producers of essential oils. It's because I wanted to initiate our Filipino farmers, cultivators, and distillers to, further their talent in producing world-class standard essential oils, because I was thinking, this is going to be beneficial not just for me, but for the future generation of Filipino aromatherapists. They won't have to experience the exuberant taxes that I experienced because we already have a few of them being produced locally. And I'm very happy that in the past 8 months that I have been working with these farmers, they have produced quite a handful of amazing essential oils and hydrosols. And some of them I actually sent to my teachers abroad, just, so they can share with me their feedback, comment if what we're doing here is really good. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of volunteer work. A lot of these work I don't really get paid for, but I feel that it doesn't matter. It's not really about the monetary return sometimes. Perhaps what I'm looking at is, the legacy that will
Mhm.
leave, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's for everybody's benefit, not just for me.
Wow, that's all I can say. Wow, that's absolutely fantastic, and it's something that's so close to my heart about this idea of giving away freely your information and your knowledge, and if you can, your financial products, because in that way you're helping to spread the word rather than saying, well, no, it costs me money, or else why should I give away my knowledge or information? I need to make money out of this. And I think when you do that, for me anyway, things do tend to come back to you. You do tend to be rewarded in that regard. And I know it's obviously a big thing with people talking about this law of attraction and stuff, and a lot of people are kind of looking towards that, but it's just a beautiful way of obviously increasing the knowledge of essential oils, increasing higher standards, and just a beautiful way of helping other people. And just your idea of volunteer work is just so inspiring to me personally. It really is. So I guess there was a couple of questions that came up there. The first one, you were saying about you were approached by a number of kind of cosmetic and beauty companies. I'm wondering, because of the ethical stance, or the ethical standards that you hold yourself to? Were there any that came along that you went, no, I can't work with those because, to my knowledge, you're maybe not, that ethically, like for talk's sake, we have companies that used to test on animals and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Was there any companies that approached you that you maybe thought, well, okay, you're a big company and I could really benefit from this, but I'm going to have to potentially turn you down?
I have had a few offers that I have turned down, especially earlier during my aromatherapist journey. I think a year while being an aromatherapist, very, very early on, I've been offered by two companies, two companies to have my own essential oil brand. And I think one of them offered me to have my own book. That was in 2018, 2019. I haven't even finished my certification yet. So they were offering me all of these things. And I was thinking, these are great. I'm very grateful that I was being, given that proposal. But I had to politely decline simply because I was thinking if I bite into that cookie at that time, then I haven't really built my credibility yet.
Yeah,
Right? So I'm just gonna be one of those essential oil brands being sold in the malls. That's not really like my goal. I wanted to build my credibility first and then come out with all of these wonderful things. I felt like even during that time, I felt that if I, dodge that proposal at that time and then build myself first, my credibility, then, have all of those opportunities again, maybe 3 years down the road or 5 years down the road, it's going to be more impactful. And I feel that I've done a good decision.
yeah.
Like
I
right
think
now, if I come out with my own essential oil brand or if I come out with my own book, I feel that it's more impactful because more people know me and my work now.
yeah, and they know the standards that you've held yourself to, rather than kind of being, oh well, this person's just grabbed the money of a big company and they've
Correct.
sold out type of thing. Yeah, really interesting, and once again, very, very much credit to you. The other question that came to mind there, we were talking about during the pandemic, you were helping farmers, you were supplying with essential oils. Now, I don't know what um, type of farmers, whether they're different from traditional farmers that we would have here in the UK. But I'm thinking farmers and essential oils. How does that work?
I think it's the same. So I think I started meeting them in 2020, I think 2020. And then, I really wanted to create an impact, not just to the end users. I also wanted to support the supply chain because I saw the gap, especially in my own experience, right? I shared with you when I started with this career, it was so hard for me to get anything. I had to import everything, and that's always so expensive. And not everyone and not every Filipino has the means or I guess the ways to also import things. I'm just very lucky. I have friends who fly in and out, then I have, more
Yeah,
um benefits, I guess, or opportunities, but not everyone is like that. So I wanted to bridge that gap and make essential oils more accessible to everyone. Quality essential oils more accessible to everyone. So I've met up with these farmers. These are regular farmers, like the farmers from from there for sure. But what's amazing about these farmers is that they have their own technical know-how. So usually these are engineers who quit their corporate work because it was the pandemic, right? So they quit their corporate work and then decided to uproot themselves from the city and to the province and start a new thing, and that's farming because they've had this like X number of hectares of land from their parents who's idle. Now they decided to, um, you know, be
yeah,
there and make something out of it. And since they are skilled, they are engineers. They actually created their own distilling machine. The Filipinos are really ingenious, amazing. I
yeah,
mean, on my end, I would just buy a distiller, a still from abroad, and that's it. But these engineers, they built their own. I was so amazed. Wow, that's really great. And so I wanted to support that. I've met with some of them. Every time I meet them, they have like a different form of still. It's because they made it on their own, and I think that's fantastic. I've met engineers or farmers or producers. I call them producers. I've met producers who distill ilang ilang essential oil. I'm not sure if you've heard of that. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful aromatic flower. Um,
Mm,
I've met producers who distill rosemary essential oil, citronella, lemongrass. What else is produced here? Cinnamon. Philippine cinnamon is also produced here. Pine is also produced here. So we have quite a handful versus a few years ago there's totally none. One of the most famous essential oils that we produce in the Philippines and even big companies have been buying from the Philippines is what we call the elemi oil. I'm not so sure if you've heard of that. It's a resin.
right. Okay.
Yeah, they call it the poor man's frankincense, but I beg to disagree. It's not a poor man's version of anything. It's a beautiful resin on its own. It's really amazing.
Right.
So I usually have webinars or lectures about the LME because it's really famous here in the Philippines.
And I was about to say that's native to the Philippines, then, is it?
Yes, yes, it
Right.
is.
Okay. Brilliant. So you can actually take an essential oil and say this is actually from our own home country, and it's a beautiful fragrance. And
Yes, yes,
that to say it's not poor anything. It's a beautiful fragrance, and we should celebrate it and actually
yes,
put it on the same level as frankincense, if not potentially better. Yeah, it's beautiful. Really, really interesting.
yeah.
So I guess, well, you were talking about, people wanting to offer you a brand, and obviously you've got your brand now, which is Couch Wasabi. How did that come
Yeah.
about?
So Couch Wasabi came to be in 2008. Very, very like 20, almost 20 years. It's from couch potato, but I was thinking I'm not really a couch potato, and I like wasabi, so I mix it together, and then it's couch wasabi. And I've had that handle ever since early 2000s. And when I started my blog, it was couchwasabi.com. I started it that way early on,
Mhm.
and like you, when I started my blog, I was very shy, so I didn't put any. There's not a single trace of my face in there. You can't see anything about me. It's just the things that I do and enjoy. So I do a lot of flat lays of the stuff that I do, but not really my face. And then I think it was in early 2010s and onwards, people wanted to associate a face with the blog here in the Philippines. So faceless blogs aren't really a thing anymore, especially in late 2000s. I think Gossip Girl was really big, so faceless blogs and stuff are really okay. And then that trend died down, and I had to show my face, and people started recognizing Couch Wasabi. They don't really know my face, but they've heard of Couch Wasabi, so I decided to keep it even up to now.
Yeah, I've seen some of your products. You've obviously you were taking. I can't remember. It was it in Japan there. You were doing like a forest track or a forest bathing. I think it was. You were at some beautiful waterfall, and I noticed your rucksack, your backpack had couch
Yeah,
wasabi on it. Yeah, that's
yeah,
how. Yeah,
yeah,
I guess most people, as you say, would recognize the brand rather
yeah.
than recognize potentially you. So I'm looking just for because you were talking about aromatherapy and essential oils, and that's kind of why I asked you to come on because we were talking just before the interview went live about my own kind of little experience with essential oils, and I know how impactful and how beneficial and the health benefits of them. And I know that this tradition of essential oils is a very, very ancient one and was practiced by some very by our ancient cultures. And I'm wondering, could you maybe talk a little bit about the history of essential oils as it's known to you? Where it originated from, the uses of it, and what people would have used it for, and the types of essential oils.
Mm. So are we gonna talk about the Philippines culturally
Anywhere
here in
you
the
want.
Philippines? Okay.
Anywhere you want. Yeah.
Mhm. So essential oils actually rooted, like the practice of aromatherapy actually started in the UK. I'm not in the UK, in Europe. So I feel that it has a richer history from where you are. In the Philippines, what we have is a very, very rich history and culture about plant medicine, so herbalism.
Yeah.
Um, as I've said, even the producers that we have currently, they don't really have, like, they'd have to make their own still. They don't really buy it from abroad. But I know for your side of the world, even families would have their own copper still and distill on their own. That's what I've heard. And I was always amazed when I meet my colleagues from UK, from Ireland. Just recently, I've been having a meeting with this UK European essential oil group, and we were talking about different plants that are native to our country. I think I know from Ireland you have a lot of amazing plants there. Is it like pine? Is it one of the local?
Pine?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. We are
sage is
very
it?
much pine here.
Yeah. So I've heard witch hazel, I think, was
Yes,
mentioned.
yes, that's
Yeah,
another one.
I remember it was mentioned witch hazel, and then I was listening intently. Wow, I was so amazed. Ireland is such a beautiful place, lot of greens.
Yeah, we
So,
still have a sorry, we have a still have a rich culture of using our natural plants and our heritage and stuff like that. And it's not just people who would, brew these themselves, but we can actually buy like witch hazel and some of these other traditional remedies in our local pharmacies and chemists. So we
oh my
can,
gosh.
and we use them for natural treatments for various ailments.
Yeah,
We even
I've
use them on
heard.
animals. So we do.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that's what I'm learning. One of the things about aromatherapy, I'm also focusing on animal aromatherapy. It's because I rescue animals. So yeah,
Mm,
going back, so aromatherapy actually started its roots in Europe, and it was coined by the word aromatherapy was coined by Marie. She's a French chemist, and I think it only lately developed in the US. The way it transported to the stateside is more commercially. I think most companies have seen its commercial or economic potential. That is the main reason why it went there. And very, very later on, that is how it arrived here in the Philippines. In the Philippines, we're just seeing growth in the past 5 years. There are only a handful of distillers here right now. And so when we started to think about building the first aromatherapy school here in the Philippines, we wanted to acknowledge the modernity of aromatherapy, like how it is now, but we wanted to infuse our own Filipino rich plant medicine culture, our
mm,
herbalism culture. So yeah, most people here wouldn't really know about essential oils. They would only see essential oils as something that would make your room smell amazing. Very,
yeah,
very, yeah, kind of a shallow
yeah,
ideology out of it, but that's okay because that's a good start, I feel like.
yeah,
So, yeah, like when I was younger, when I was in high school, probably I would also think of aromatherapy that way. So it's fun at least that now more and more people are acknowledging that essential oils are more than what makes your room smell amazing. It also does a lot of therapeutic things.
yeah. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I think you're right. As long as people have the awareness, okay, there's such a thing as essential oils, and even if they only understand that it's something that makes your room smell nice, it's still a step, isn't it? And hopefully, maybe further down the line in a year or a few years' time, they'll maybe get this understanding. Oh, right, well, there's deeper aspects to essential oils. So as long as people even have that awareness, I think it's so
Correct.
important. So tell us, because we were obviously just talking about it there, about this kind of shallow aspect of what essential oils are kind of known for, but obviously, both you and I kind of know they're for healing, they're for other kind of modalities. Can you talk to us from your knowledge about the deeper aspects of what you would use essential oils for and what they would have traditionally been used for?
Hmm. So lately, especially in the past 2 years, because of the pandemic, a lot of people have turned into using essential oils to support their emotional well-being. And I think that's really a good way also to introduce it to someone because when you when you approach someone and start talking about the chemistry side and all of these big words, it's sort of a turn off. It turns them off, and it's like too intimidating, right? So now a lot more people would appreciate lavender because it makes them feel less stressed. They love sweet orange because it calms them down, or they like peppermint and rosemary because it gives them more focus. Simple things like that to make them aware that these oils would give you that benefit is a good start, I feel like. And I feel that that is how, a lot of education is needed. Perhaps not just here in the Philippines, perhaps also there in Ireland, right?
Yeah,
Um, but lately, I see a lot of I'm happy that a lot more people are appreciating the beauty of these essential oils. Now a lot more women moms are interested to use, even doctors are interested
right.
to explore essential oils as a complementary treatment. Because
Yes,
before, I understand that some of the people from the sciencey or scientific field
yes.
would shun away essential oils. But now I hear that some of the doctors here in the Philippines even they're more welcoming into using essential oils as a complementary treatment for their
Mm.
patients.
Yeah, I think you're right. Science now, traditionally, science has um, pushed away and has shunned anything that would have been considered, well, that's just nonsense, superstition. It's just a kind of pagan belief. And
Or
now we're seeing,
placebo.
yeah,
They always say that's only placebo effect.
yes, absolutely. Yeah. And now more doctors and more scientists are beginning to realize that, we need to take a more holistic approach to our medicine. It's just, because medicine works on so many levels. It's not just the case of popping a pill and you will be okay. We're finding now that a lot of our physical ailments and physical conditions are caused by mental illnesses, and we're actually, obviously, we can talk about the power of the placebo, but it's more about the power of the mind, how
Yes.
we have our minds and our mindsets and the way we think about things. I've had a lot of people on talking about this, and we're beginning to realize how, the effects of the minds. If you're in a good state, then, if you have these essential oils and they're promoting this well-being within you, and therefore you're having this physical effect on you. So I think you're right. There's a lot of doctors who are now open to that holistic approach. Maybe not so much just saying throw your pills in the bin and take these essential oils, but just as a complement to it, why don't you try these along with your medication? So it's a beautiful step in the right direction, and we're now seeing a return to a lot of kind of lost knowledge which our ancestors in history would have used in the past, and far from it being these superstitious pagan beliefs, we're now beginning to understand the value of this. So I think that's why it's very important the work that you yourself are doing, and spreading this here and helping other people learn your skills and inspiring a whole generation, about the use of essential oils in aromatherapy. So yeah, really congratulations. So tell us a bit more. Can you give us some of the more popular or more well-known essential oils that maybe you would use, and what they're kind of used for?
I feel that lavender is always a popular pick. I
Yeah,
feel that lavender is always beginner friendly. Like anyone, any layperson who's starting
lavender.
to oh my gosh, we don't have lavender plants over here.
Lavender is very,
Wow.
very big over here. My lavender is a bit under the weather, but it's been sitting
Oh
in this
my god.
really sunny weather. But yeah, it's lovely. It's such a beautiful smell of it too. And
You're making me jealous, Venus.
we use that in spiritualism as well. So it's a very big plant and a very big thing. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, lavender is always used to calm you down, make you fall asleep. It has a lot of linalool to help relax you. It has analgesic effects. They say lavender is like um, it has a lot of uses. not only for your emotional well-being, even topically when you use it on your skin, it helps heal your scars and your wound faster. If you had an accident, for example, a burn, a minor burn, put a little bit of lavender essential oil and it helps soothe it. So there are a lot of uses for lavender. So it's one of those popular picks. Another oil is peppermint because
Hmm.
peppermint helps decongest. If you have any congestion or anything, runny nose, allergic rhinitis, it helps open up your lungs. Now, I wanted also to raise a point that while these oils are amazing, they do a lot of things. Keep in mind that these oils also would have safety precautions needed to
Okay.
be known. For
Yeah.
example, peppermint, while it's good to decongest our upper respiratory tract, keep in mind that peppermint is not really good for young kids because it can trigger the opposite. It can make their breathing tracts swell and make it more difficult for them to breathe. So keep in mind that peppermint is not really safe to be used as an inhaler for young kids, let's say 5 years old and younger. Please don't use peppermint. If you need to use something to decongest a child, use spearmint instead. So spearmint is a lot safer because peppermint, rosemary, and other oils that has this chemical called 1,8-cineol. We're going a little technical, but it's just an information that you can take note of. Um, if the oil or the plant has a high amount of 1,8 cineol, this specific chemical constituent is very, very I would say dangerous to children, young children, because it can cause death. It can cause them to breathe restrictively, and that's not really a good thing. Another famous oil is lemon. Lemon is great, especially to cleanse the air if you diffuse it. It's also a good topical surface cleaner ingredient. So I
Mm.
know a lot of households would use essential oils for cleaning their homes. Lemon is a famous pick for that. What else is common? Is there any oil that you would like to ask me, like what you have
You
been
know,
using?
I just two oils in mind because I know actually because most of Europe is a very traditional Christian country, and we have in our places of worship, churches where the priests they they use this, and obviously
Frankincense,
frankincense, and obviously the story of the baby Jesus Christ, where these
the
wise
three
men
gifts.
gifts of
Yes.
frankincense. Not a lot of people will actually really think about these gifts. Let's go with frankincense and myrrh without actually realizing these are actually essential oils.
No, these are not.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So the ones in that story, in the birth of Jesus and the three gifts, are not essential oils because essential oils are not yet discovered and produced during that time.
Right,
Yes,
right.
essential oils and the machine to distilling was discovered very, very much later on. So it's a myth where when they say, essential oils is what it was
Wow.
gifted to Jesus. It's not true.
Oh,
It was
wow.
the
Okay.
real it was the real plant material. It was the real resin which was gifted to Jesus, not the essential oil version.
Wow. Well, there you go. You've given me something that I didn't know. So thank you so much. So is the format that is sprayed as a vapor, as a smoke, as an aroma in the modern Christian churches today, where they walk up and down the aisles and they spray this thing that comes out that's like a smoke. Is that a form of
Smoke.
it? Yeah.
Oh no, those are actually resin that's burnt.
Right. Okay.
Hmm.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so it's not really the essential oil form, it's actually the plant material. I have a resin here. I should have gotten it to show you. It will take me minutes, so let's not do that. But it's actually the real resin, and then they burn it in a little burner, and then that's the one. I think I have it on my phone. Let me just quickly show you
Yeah,
because I wanted
that's
to show
okay.
you.
That's okay.
I actually have a big resin here but it's LME and it's what I use when I'm having my lectures. Let me check it out. Anyway, so please continue asking.
Yeah, well, as I said, I just did not know that. I no idea. But again, that was my own kind of lack of knowledge. So I'm really fascinated and really interested to know that, that obviously this myth that these were essential oils that were given to Jesus, and they actually weren't, because there's a certain process that has to be followed before that plant or that resin can be called an essential oil. So
Correct.
that has increased my knowledge. So once again, thank you so much. But yeah, I guess some of the other ones would be
Here,
tea tree and
hold
eucalyptus.
on. Let me
Sure.
show you. So here's the resin. That big yellow chunk,
Yeah. Wow.
that's the elemi resin. So frankincense would look a lot smaller because the tree only secretes smaller sap. So those are the frankincense when it dries. It looks like little rocks of like little small cream colored rocks. And those are frankincense that the church would burn when they're
Right.
having that ceremony. We also have that here in the Philippines. So here's the bigger version of the elemi resin. When I
Wow.
was when I
Wow.
was presenting to AIA, I think AIA or AirMid, I usually
Wow.
have a lot of lectures about LME. So I have that big props to show every time.
That's some size, really. How much essential oils would you get out of that? I'm assuming the bottles are maybe about that size.
Yeah, well, according to our distillers here, I think it needs 10 kilo of resin to produce, I think it was about 20%. It has a 20% production rate. So not so bad for LME, but I feel that for frankincense, it's a lot smaller. And different plants would have different yield rates. For example, rosemary, they would need like tons of it to produce like a small single bottle. So the farmers would tell me, the reason why the price is quite high because the yield is so small. Like, also with lavender, I've heard you need tons of it to
Yeah.
produce a few mLs of it. So
Yeah.
it's different.
We're very lucky that lavender grows wild here.
Yeah, I'm so jealous.
So a few of
It's
the
in your
other,
pot in your garden. We don't have lavender here.
I know it's so common here that we don't think anything of it, which is a real shame. So
Mm.
hopefully, this interview with anyone who's watching it from either the UK or from Ireland will maybe take that lavender a bit less for granted, but it's very cheap here. I mean, I bought that for like £3 UK, really, at the end of the day. It was very
Wow.
cheap. So it was, yeah, very common,
Wow.
very cheap. Yeah. As I say, I could go out pretty much and just grab some from the wild and pot it myself. Yeah.
Wow. Well, here in the Philippines, we have a lot of jasmine here. I know jasmine is a little bit exotic for people on your side of the globe. Here we just find it everywhere.
Well, maybe we could have this mutual trade. I'll send you some lavender, you send me some jasmine.
Why not? So yeah, the world is fair.
Absolutely is. So some of the other essential oils which are really common here and really of use for natural ailments would be eucalyptus oil
Oh
and
yes,
tea tree oil. So tea tree oil we would use over here for like acne and
yes,
blemishes, stuff like that. And
correct,
eucalyptus oil is, as you were talking about earlier, it's a very good decongestant. So we would
correct.
use,
To open up your lungs.
yeah, for those, but I'm not too sure about the purity of them. The
Mm.
buy them maybe in a camp. Tea tree oil, it depends where you buy it. It can be really expensive if you're buying it from a pharmacy. But sometimes you can get it in like some of the shops that we have over here. They're like a shop which does everything for like $1, £1. So sometimes you can
Mm.
buy, sometimes you can buy essential oils in there for like £1, but I'm not too sure of the purity of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're
I'm
kind of essential oils. Do you know much about them?
I'm glad that you're raising that conversation up about purity. This is also one of the things that we teach to everyone because, essential oils is not really regulated worldwide, right? And even companies can just come out with their own brand of essential oils. Like I was offered to have my own brand of essential oils. So anyone can just have their own brand of essential oils, but how would you know if it's pure? That's always a question. And the way I would tell our students here is that, go to essential oil companies or brands that would readily provide their GCMS tests. What is a GCMS? It's gas chromatography mass spectrometry. It's an international standard of testing essential
Mhm.
oils. All companies who are, I would say, credible would readily post their GCMS tests on their website. It should be accessible. Now, when a company would, and this has been my practice ever since I was, starting in this aromatherapy journey, when I'm out in the malls and checking out all of these essential oil brands, I would always ask the sales representative or whoever that's speaking with me, can I check your GCMS? I just want to, run through it.
Yeah,
And some of them, and no, a lot of them would resist, would tell me, oh, we don't have one, or oh, it's not really allowed to be shared to the public. And that's always a red flag.
yeah,
Because if it's really pure, there's no reason for a company to withhold the GCMS document. It should be accessible and available to the public. So
yeah,
that is how we tell our students on how you should decide which company to trust or which brand to trust. And
yeah.
luckily, there are a lot of brands that you can trust, like Florihana. For your side of the world, Florihana is
Florian. Okay.
one big company that's good. For us here, we have a handful of brands who are already doing the test, so I'm pretty happy. But in Europe, for sure, you have a lot more brands there. In the
Yeah,
US also, they have a couple of amazing
yeah.
brands.
I must try and look into that company that, as I was saying, I was doing a little bit of work for many years ago, and the brand of essential oils. I know that the overall company or some of the company products were a company called Jiva, Giva, I think, but I think it was the Amio. Have you heard of that? Amio essential oils. That was the brand that they were doing, and as I said, I don't know about the purity of them, but they were really really expensive, and fortunately, most people they were out of most people's range. It was really expensive for maybe just a handful of essential oils, and even their diffuser was really really expensive. But again, as I said, I sort of got into it because they had marketed their products as being, 100% free of parabens and perfumes and completely natural and stuff like that. But although they were seemed to be really good products, they unfortunately priced people out. And I'm just kind of wondering, because obviously you've turned around and said that in the beginning, and I guess till now, you've absorbed most of the costs. And would you find that, essential oils now, because they become more common in the Philippines, that um, they're within most people's price ranges, that most people can afford them?
Yeah, here in the Philippines, they are a few brands that are really more affordable. And I guess on my end, I also guide them, like direct them to which brand is reasonable and yet you can still trust.
Yeah,
So, like with you, like I can share Florihana.
yeah,
Sometimes the price doesn't really equate to how pure it is. There are brands that are reasonably priced, but they're pure. There
yeah,
are brands that are exorbitantly expensive but aren't really that pure or questionable. So,
yeah.
price doesn't really equate to
Yes,
quality sometimes. You
yeah,
have to know your source, you have to know your producer or the company. You have to do your own investigation. You have to be responsible enough to do your own investigation. And like what you've mentioned earlier, it's also a conversation of ethics. If you get to know the company and how they treat their farmers, how they treat their tappers, if they're really well compensated, if there's fair trade, I think that's a better brand to choose for, right? Or to go for.
it's getting more complicated, I think, not even just with essential oils, but in cosmetics and in our shampoos and things that we wash with, because we're now seeing this growing awareness and this global awareness that people want to, use natural products, and there's more information available today about the harmful use of parabens, perfumes, like SLSs, things like that. There are within our, within our cosmetics and within our things, a whole range of things. And so there's this growing awareness that people want to use products that are healthy, that are vegan, that are free. And what I find myself, because I'll generally pick up a bottle of something and look on the back of it and look at the ingredients, and if I don't know, I'll kind of look it up. So I always try to go for something that is as pure as possible, if it's within my price range. But what we're seeing, and I don't know if you can speak to this a little bit, is that there's a lot of false branding being put onto packaging to say that this is vegan or eco-friendly, and really it's a mislabeling. And without that extra knowledge, people will pick something up and go, okay, well, this is, and just go ahead and use it without, really realizing that.
That is true. I'm so glad you're raising that. There are a lot of companies who does greenwashing. They do a lot of these beautiful icons saying they're rabbit friendly or vegan, right? Vegan, cruelty free. But when you check the ingredients, oh, for example, one clear example, hair conditioners, they would claim to be sulfate free, but conditioners don't really contain sulfates at all. So all conditioners are actually sulfate free because they would never contain sulfates.
That we just
So
lost
that's
the connection.
one form. Oh, am I back?
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah. So it's
Okay.
the quality's just dropped a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're freezing, but hello?
Or quality a problem.
Okay, am I back?
Recently,
Hello? Hello?
hello. Yes, I had to
Yeah.
actually switch my phone hotspot. It's okay.
Okay.
I'll come back later. Yeah, sorry. Carry on what you were talking about there.
Okay, so I was sharing how other companies, or a lot of these companies who are claiming to be a vegan, cruelty free, green, a lot of them are doing a lot of greenwashing, wherein a clear example, and probably you've seen this because you read a lot of labels, right? Hair conditioners claiming to be sulfate free, but that's
Yes.
a little funny because hair conditioners, when you formulate them, they don't really contain sulfates. They don't. So all in a way, all hair conditioners are sulfate free. So they don't really have to claim they're sulfate free. So a lot of these funny labeling, mislabeling that could easily trick someone who don't really know a lot about these ingredients. I'm fortunate to know about these because I come from I'm a third generation, I guess, beauty practitioner. My great grandmother is a beauty educator in Canada. My mom is a registered pharmacist. So reading all of these ingredients and
Yeah.
knowing about them is something that I grew up with. I grew up watching my mom, shaking something, formulating in our kitchen. And me, I used to work at the Avon, so I used to handle color cosmetics for the entire Asia Pacific. So
Wow.
I'm very familiar of all of these preservatives,
Yeah.
stabilizers, emulsifiers. I know all of these scientific terms. So it's
That
easy for
must
me to read ingredients and
yeah.
recognize them.
That must be why you have this beautiful glowing skin.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I came to this awareness a lot later in our life. Ireland is not the most modern of countries, and in the world and stuff. Even though you would probably think living next door to the UK, it's actually not. We've had a lot of problems in Ireland politically, and with a lot of kind of fighting and stuff. So it's kind of held the progress back, and we're sort of maybe, I would say, maybe a bit behind, in our awareness of things. So unfortunately, I've learned about this a bit late in my life. But yeah, so it's but yeah, just that understanding, and I guess that even when companies say they're SLS free, they can. I think, as you know, that it doesn't have to be SLS. It can be under these different terms. Sulfates can be,
Correct.
labeled, and there's different forms of sulfates. So even if you're looking in the back and going, well, I know SLS is going to, start off alarm bells. Well, that says like CLS or something like that. There, it's just
Correct.
sodiums of these sulfates under a different name. So it does get very tricky. And certainly here in the UK, we'll see products as well. This is another kind of thing that I've seen, that they'll say like 98% natural ingredients, which makes you think, oh, they must be, but it's those 2%, which are the
Mhm.
really harmful ones. It's maybe the sulfates that they're leaving in. So it's just another kind of brand, as you say. I love that term, greenwashing. I've never heard it before. I'm going to adopt that myself. So I am. Yeah.
You
So
should.
yeah, I absolutely am. I'm not even going to say that it came from you. I'm going to pass it off as my own. So
No, greenwashing is actually a term used in the beauty industry because a lot of these companies really do that. So you can use it freely. Don't worry, it's not mine.
yeah, so it is great anyway that we have this growing awareness, in our cosmetics and in the things that we choose to put into our body. And it's crazy when you think about it, the chemicals and the harmful additives
Mhm.
that we subject ourselves into. And I probably, in a way, probably women more than men, because women use cosmetics. So there's that
Yeah,
added danger. And a lot of women, I find, which is really counterproductive, because they're putting on makeup, on cosmetics, in an attempt to beautify themselves and appear younger. But what they're actually doing is aging their skin. And what
correct,
they actually do then is they apply more cosmetics in attempt
correct,
to, so it's this cycle, and they don't know what they're doing really for
correct, correct.
anyway. People just tend to go for the big names and maybe the cheapest alternative. So it's great that, obviously, that you're here as well, and bringing that little bit of awareness and adding to my own knowledge. So I
Mm.
know you
And
do.
remember,
Mhm.
Zenith, remember, for everyone who's listening, our skin is our biggest organ. So whatever we put on it definitely gets into our bloodstream, gets into our bodies. So I like what you said. You're putting cosmetics to try to conceal and make you look younger, but in reality, you're actually aging yourself because you're putting all of these chemicals that aren't really good for your skin. Eventually, you will end up in your body, in your bloodstream.
Yeah, it is. It's a fascinating thing, because once you start going down this road of going, I need to look after my skin better by becoming more aware of what I ingest into my body, I think it leads to this awareness. Well, then I need to look about the foodstuffs that I put into my body, and what is helpful for me and what is harmful for me. So I need to potentially cut out the junk food, maybe need to cut down, if you want to say, like, on my meat intake. So it just leads this whole different awareness, of treating your body more like a temple, rather than just this, well, it's just kind of there. So you have this growing health awareness, not just about beauty products and cosmetics, but this whole idea of what am I subjecting my body to, even sun creams as well, which people think, well, I need to put on sun cream to protect myself from the sun. Even those, they have very harmful ingredients within them. And so then people begin to look at natural sources of sun cream and stuff. And so it's just a fascinating kind of subject. Um, I know you also make soaps as well. So could you tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about that? Because I've watched some of your videos where you're making these soaps, and it's a fascinating product. And once again, because of natural soaps, and to be free of perfumes and stuff like that. And I think that soaps are now beginning to become more popular, because we once again recognize that shower gels and hand gels and stuff like that, once again, are actually harmful for us. So people are looking towards older things, but in a more natural way.
That is true. I make soaps straight out of base oils or vegetable oils. So I like combining my knowledge in aromatherapy, wherein I know the profile of this oil. For example, olive oil and coconut oil combined with, let's say, palm oil or pili pulp oil. Pili pulp oil is something that's very Filipino, so you might not have heard about it. But knowing these oils like argan oil or jojoba oil, and then combining them together to create a bar of soap is always a fun thing. Now, Zenith, doing that soap making and shooting myself is another thing. That's the more challenging thing. So it takes a lot to produce those videos, but I'm happy that you enjoy them. So yeah, I've made a couple of batches of soap. The last one that I made was to make a beer soap.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's really fun. I made this batch of beer soap. Oh, it smells so good. I was so surprised myself. I know
Absolutely.
Ireland is like a country that does a lot of their beer making, so it's something that you could
Yeah.
check
Yeah,
out.
absolutely. We're very famous here for our beers. We're kind of known as a nation of people who are kind of
Yes.
too many alcoholic beverages here, which is not too far away from the truth. But yeah, I suppose then God, for anyone listening, would be thinking I can combine two things. I can sit in the bath and have my beer then at the same time. Yeah. I know that there's a couple of other things that you do as well, and I'm not too sure that you it's not only just essential oils and aromatherapy and soaps, but you also do a few other little things as well, which I haven't quite remembered. But I should have noted them down. Can you talk a little bit just maybe about some of the other little avenues that you've created and branched out into?
Yeah, I have a lot of hobbies. Even my parents are having hard time keeping up with it. I also do jewelry making. I also studied silversmithing. So
Wow.
I'm not wearing it, but my first ever silver ring that I made, I was in Seoul. I went to early in 2020. I was actually in Korea in Seoul. I was taking up my jewelry making course. I was studying to become a smith, a silversmith. And then I had to come back in the Philippines to get more clothes because it was winter there and I realized I didn't have much clothes. So when I came here in Manila, I never really had a chance to go back because it was starting to lock, every country is starting to have their own versions of lockdown because of the pandemic. So half of my clothes are still there. I haven't really had the chance to bring it back here. But during the course of the pandemic, I've gotten deeper into my aromatherapy practice. So there. My jewelry making is on pause, but I still very am interested in going back to it because I
Mhm.
really enjoy um crafting. I do a lot of
Yeah,
things like soap making, shampoo bar making, lotion, all of those making, I make them. Candle
really.
making, I do some
Yeah,
candle
that's
making
right.
as
I forgot
well.
about that. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
super talented, super talented. It's fantastic to hear someone who, has that diversity of talents, that can go from making candles to essential oils to trying their hand at, crafting silversmith. It's fascinating, really, really interesting. So, and I know that I think we were talking about just at the start of the show. Tell us that obviously because you're so obviously talented and you've become such a recognized person, your brand is so big now in the Philippines, and you now run a course where you're teaching Filipino women the art of aromatherapy and soap making and stuff like this. So tell us a little
Yes.
bit about.
Yes, thank you so much for asking that. So, just recently, we launched the first aromatherapy school here in the Philippines. It's called Aromatherapy Institute of the Philippines. Like if you have time, please check out www.aromainstituteph.com. So we offer the first aromatherapy certification program. It's the first here in our country, and the goal there is to bring aromatherapy credible and quality education to the Filipinos. So my teacher, Jade Schutz, she's also my mentor. She got in touch with me early this year to partner and bring that forward, and I'm very happy and grateful for her trust to partner with me to do that here. That's a really huge project that I'm always going to be grateful for because I like asked me a year ago, I never really thought I'd have an aromatherapy school here. I'm just enjoying my ways around essential oils and like the stuff that I do. So having a school and it's actually operating now, and we have a few students who already signed up. That's really something that I'm grateful for 2022. Um, and in that school, we're also offering all the other classes that I've been having in the past few years. So soap making is also there, candle making is also there, lotion making is also there, and some other aromatherapy practices like how to make your own flower essences or how to make your own herbal glycerides. So we have a lot of these short courses that you can enroll and check out as well.
Hmm.
And it's very affordable. So you might as well check it out if you're interested to learn about aromatherapy.
Yeah,
So there.
yeah, absolutely. Once again, multi-talented lady. Um, what else was I going to say? There was something else that I wanted to ask you. Yes, that was the other thing. To add another string to your bow, if you're familiar with that term, is that a lot of your YouTube videos you have recipes on them in which you're making food, you're making healthy food.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that.
Are those my smoothie videos?
Yes.
I have more on my TikTok. so so of course in I guess in support of my seeking a healthier lifestyle, I really want to have all of these and share all of these recipes, short clips to my audience to inspire them as well. I hope it's fun when you watch it because that's the goal to provide like a fun content to inspire other people, my audience, to think that being healthy is not really that difficult. It's easy to make.
Yeah.
I can whip up a smoothie in 10 minutes, and then I'm happy. And then cleanup is also easy. So I just want to inspire the people around me to become healthier and live this lifestyle that's very attainable. Because I know, like, when you watch celebrities and they're so healthy and fit and that, but sometimes it's not really that attainable, right? Because they have access to all of these amazing facilities and I don't know,
Yeah.
aesthetic doctors and stuff. But I want to make things more relatable and attainable. Like I tell my audience where you can buy this, I don't know, specific shaker that's not really that expensive. You can make it work and it gives you an amazing smoothie that you can easily grab here and there and whip up something beautiful and delicious. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think you've some longer videos that I vaguely remember on your YouTube channel, which are just generally maybe a day in Manila. They're a bit longer and stuff, which are just kind of like you just kind of going about your normal kind of practices just to kind of show what your day is kind of like. Isn't that right?
Yes. Yeah. So I also do a lot of these living alone
Yeah.
series and a day in my life series. Like just take you in on how it is to live as an aromatherapist here in the Philippines. And yeah, so those little things. I hope that I'm entertaining
Yeah.
everyone who's watching it.
Well, it goes to show, I think what's really interesting is that, it shows people that you are relatable, that you're not this kind of person who is aloof or projects this lovely, oh, I'm this here type of person in front of the camera when you're coaching. You're just showing, like, I'm just an ordinary person going about my day. Like, if you're from the Philippines, if you're from Manila, you can easily identify my day because it's probably your day as well. I'm no different from you. So it makes you very relatable then. It makes you very approachable so that people maybe might not have this fear of this kind of inferiority complex, or how do I go about that because I'm embarrassed, potentially. So
Yeah.
hopefully it inspires people then that way to reach out to you even more. So as I said, I found it interesting. And I also know that you have your own podcast as well, so tell us a
Yes.
bit about that.
Thank you. So I have been hosting this podcast called Live Well with Aromatherapist Jirbie. I think it's been on for 3 years now, 2 or 3 years now. I can't remember. It's on Spotify, so just search for Couch Wasabi in any social media or on Google. Just search for Couch Wasabi and you will find me. I'm I'm almost everywhere. So on Spotify, if you want to search for my podcast, just search for Couch Wasabi. And in that podcast, I normally talk about healthy lifestyle, healthy living, wellness, and emotional well-being. So it's not strictly about essential oils and aromatherapy. I also wanted to open conversations about mental health or
Mm,
female wellness, or I'd love to have you seen this on my show about
okay.
spiritual wellness, right? I mean, I want it to be a range of conversation, not only strictly about essential oils, because I want it to be, I don't know, less intimidating. I want it to
Yeah.
be less intimidating because sometimes people are so intimidated about essential oils and it's not really a nice conversation to open it with. I feel
Yeah.
that, when you talk about mental health, is it's more friendly sometimes,
Mhm.
right? Or what else? So many conversations that has happened there. We've been on for 5 seasons already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'd be honored to be a guest on your show. Like you, I try to talk about spiritualism in a very basic way that most people can understand. And there's a very strong overlap between mental health and people who are looking to, develop themselves kind of spiritually and become open to that. So absolutely, anytime that you want to I look at it as, as an honor for you taking part on my show. So just anytime that you want to do, just contact me. I'll send you my email address, whatever. You can contact me that way. So I guess probably the last part I want to talk about is your blog, which has been very interesting from some of the things that I've read on it. But it's obviously grown from when you were fairly young, from some of the things you posted on it, which were really entertaining and really interesting, to just documenting your travels and stuff like that. That some of the things that you wanted to do, you were forest bathing, I think, in Japan.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And I know that that is a growing practice, and it's something that, someone who spends a lot of time in nature and really appreciates the mental health benefits to nature, that forest bathing is to me, it's just a kind of no-brainer. And it was something that you got an opportunity to do. It was something that you really wanted to do very recently. So could you just give us a little bit about that, and just about maybe your blog and what that's about?
Of course. So actually, Zenith, that photo was not really in Japan. It's here in the Philippines.
Okay,
But
right.
let me tell you something. I was born and raised in a city, so I'm a city girl. I'm not really an outdoorsy person. So and I try to make an effort to be one, and that is the reason why a few weeks ago, I think a month ago, I scheduled a hiking trip. So that's the photo, that
Right.
one. That's really beautiful, lush green with my backpack
Yes.
on,
Yes. The
and my
couch
couch was
potato.
up. Yeah. So it's my first time to go to a forest. In that photo, it's my first time to do hiking. It's a waterfall hike. I wanted to visit a waterfall. I think 2 hours away from Metro Manila, so it's the nearest forest that I can reach, and it's my first time to ever do that. So when my friends saw it, they were so surprised. They were like, "Is that you? Why were you out in the forest?" Because people who knew me from childhood would know that I'm not that type of person. And it always surprises them. I told you, even my parents, it makes them hard to keep up with what I'm currently
Yeah.
enjoying. So a few weeks ago, I invited some of my friends to be with me to go on a hike because I've never done it before, and I always like to push boundaries. Did you know that I also free dive, but I'm not really a swimmer when I started?
No, I was not aware of that. No,
Yeah,
wow.
and I've drowned so many times, but I didn't care. I would
Oh,
still try it. So I like doing that. I like pushing boundaries and I guess discovering my capabilities. So I even surprise myself sometimes,
yeah.
especially during that hiking trip. It wasn't really for beginners. I think I uploaded the video about that trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the hike was a little bit difficult. It's not for beginners. We had to do rappelling, so I was surprised that I had to do that, and then we did it, right. So we did a 40-minute hike with rappelling to go to the falls and rest and take pictures and climb up. And our friend, when we reached the top again, to the flatlands again, our friend told me, "Oh, I was really worried about you. I was scared to talk to you when you were doing that because you might get mad at me for bringing you here because our trip today is not really that beginner friendly and it's your first time." So he was like, "I'm glad that you tried your best to do it, to climb back up." So I told him I had no choice. I had to do it, or else I'll be left down there, and I didn't want that. So I'd have to, give all my might to do the
Yeah,
rappelling and climb up, and use all my body weight to get out of that pit to be up
yeah.
with you, right? So fun experience. I'll never forget it. But if I
You're
had the
not going to
choice,
be
I will
doing
not
it.
do it again. I would choose an easier hike next time.
Yeah,
But it's
maybe just
fun. It's fun.
something along ground level. Yeah, I think that's a bit extreme for someone who just generally does not go into nature or anything.
If you
You
can
don't
see my
just go.
video,
It
my
just sounds.
face was beet red.
Yeah, it sounds to be just the type of persons you are. You just throw yourself into something. Okay, let's just go for this here. And when you get there, you're kind of like, I can't do this, but I'm not going to let it beat me. Okay, well, I've
Yeah,
tried it now, so forget about it. Yeah, well, I hope it
yeah.
hasn't put you off just even going into forests and
I
spending a bit.
love I love being actually that trip. My idea was just to do forest bathing, flatlands, just walking and tree hugging. I never really expected to have to climb up rocks and rappel down. It was way beyond what I was expecting, but challenge accepted and conquered,
Yeah,
I must say.
stick to the tree hugging, stick to just the forest bathing because
Yeah.
our trees do need a lot of love, so they do, and they can feel that, so they really can. So yeah, so just tell us then about where we can find you, where are people who are interested in you, who want to watch some of the variety of stuff that you do, who are going, I'd love to see some of her videos, I'd love to see some of her soaps or the aromatherapy that she does, and maybe even to potentially enroll in your courses, or just to have listen to your podcasts. Where can people find you?
Also, you can check out my website. That's www.couchwasabi.com. So that is where I post a lot of things. You can go on YouTube and search for Couch Wasabi. Again, in any social media or on Google, just search for Couch Wasabi and you'll find me. Now, one of the video playlists that I could recommend to you, Zenith, is watch my diving videos. It's very
I
relaxing.
will definitely be checking that out.
Yeah, I'm taking you underwater to see all the fishes we have here in the Philippines. I know Ireland is like a very green place. I'm not so sure if diving is something that's
Oh, it's very
done.
cool. Very.
Yeah, so you will enjoy my diving videos for sure.
I love that because we've been snorkeling and we've been diving in Africa. We've been to Africa and
Wow.
we were snorkeling there and just beautiful ecosystem. And I don't think we got to do it in Peru. No,
Oh
we
my
were well, we
gosh.
swam we swam in the Amazon River. It wasn't diving or anything, but we swam in the Amazon with pink dolphins. So we've been
You
very
should
fortunate.
come here. The
Oh,
Philippines has the third best diving spots in the world.
I would love to. Absolutely. It's on my bucket list from today.
You
Absolutely.
should.
When I come, I'm going to be staying with you.
Yes, I can recommend a few places. And you
Yeah.
will see this really huge pawikan. It's like a big turtle, and it will swim with you. So we
Yeah,
have
I'd
those
absolutely
amazing
love to.
things.
We've been to Borneo and Kuala Lumpur, so not too far away
Oh,
from you. So
yes.
we've been there too. So we're fortunate to have traveled to some exotic places, and obviously we've done some diving. Where else did we do diving? We've done diving off. I can't even remember the name of the place now. In Spain and in a little country called Malta and stuff. So we've been fortunate to do diving,
Hmm.
snorkeling, and
Cool.
but it's beautiful to see that ecosystem, that vibrancy of nature, and that
Yes.
how that beautiful clear water and the beautiful colors of fishes. That you're in another world. So I would absolutely.
Yeah.
I will be checking out your videos. So tell us a bit more then. Give us a bit more information of where other people can find you, because you mentioned you're on TikTok as well.
Yeah, it's still couch wasabi.
Couch wasabi for anything. Just
Yeah.
type in couch wasabi. Brilliant.
Yes.
Absolutely fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like to add that maybe I've missed, Jirbie?
I guess I would like to invite everyone who's interested about essential oils to please check out our school. And if you're like having this inkling of wanting to learn more about it, about aromatherapy in general, perhaps you can check it out and enroll with us. Our curriculum is abiding or meets the standards of NAHA and IFPA. So NAHA is the U.S. Aromatherapy Organization, professional organization, and IFPA is the one that's from UK. So our curriculum meets international standards, and yeah, you will get a quality education at a very affordable price.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Jirbie, is there one sort of message, one thing that you've kind of learned over the years of doing this here for someone who's looking to maybe follow down your path, or just something in life that you've learned that you feel that you can sum up in a nutshell just to give people, a message for anyone viewing this?
My advice to anyone who's listening is I think always have a heart of gratitude. I think that's very important. And like what you've mentioned earlier, when you're always grateful for the things that's coming your way, it will bring you more
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
time, right? It will always come tenfolds. So yeah, and don't be scared. Like me, I do a lot of things that surprise other people and even surprise myself. Like I mentioned, I'm not really a swimmer, but I tried diving. That really surprised and scared my mom and dad. And even my hiking, like sometimes out of the blue, my dad would tell me, "Hey, I saw your video. I saw you do the rappelling. That's dangerous." It surprises them. So just don't be scared, and I guess nurture your curiosity. I think that's important because you don't really know your capabilities and talents up to what extent your talents can take you unless you try.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Jirbie, you're such an inspiration, and I know you're so well known and your brand is so well known in the Philippines. And I've kind of looked, you've crazy numbers of people who are looking at your videos and following you, and you're so very talented. But what comes across in this interview is that you're just so humble, very much down to earth, and very appreciative of what you have, and just this general attitude of wanting to give back and spread awareness about natural health and about essential oils. So I'm so glad that you agreed to my request to take part on this crazy Spirit Channel podcast. What does this guy
Of
want
course
to
not.
be on his podcast? But obviously, as I said, I had this interest in essential oils and aromatherapy and natural health, and I thought, well, I can have an interview. But I've just been pleasantly surprised by not only by researching a lot of your work, but by having you in person and just getting to know you in this brief hour and 20 minutes. So thank you so much. And absolutely, I'd be honored to take part in your podcast whenever you find the time or whenever that you decided it's right for you. So thank you so much, Jirbie.
Thank you so much, Zenith, for having me. It's really an honor to be here with you, and I really appreciate your patience. And
It's all mine too, so it is. Because as I said, this was arranged by me months upon months ago, and just as you know, just scheduling falls away and happens, and a number of other people, and then obviously you had a few issues as well. So, like, I don't think there's any need for apology on either end. We're just glad that we got it done, and glad that we got what hopes to be a really enjoyable interview for the viewers to do.
yeah, same here. I'm so happy that we're having this, and I'm gonna make you wake up early again for you to guest on my show.
I'll definitely get my tea bags and lemon strips or
Yeah,
cucumbers under my eyes.
green tea works best under eyes.
Oh well, I have my green tea here.
Oh, that's good. Freeze it up and then put it under your eye.
Right, okay, okay, okay. Well, I'm
Yeah.
definitely heading you up for more health advice, more beautifying tips. Debbie, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay.